I see a dog as I'm driving. Ryan's in the passenger, and I'm like, oh my God, there's a dog.
Oh, that was scaring me so much. Oh,
Oh, it'd be like that. She loves dogs.
I know I don't have one though. My brother's allergic.
don't get one.
I need to have a dog. I don't
It
care.
is so much work.
Love conquers all.
Until you have to wake up at 4 a.m.
I
She
did that
already
for a whole
wakes up
month.
at 4 a.m.
True, true.
I actually woke up at 3 a.m. so I could work out at 4 a.m. and then do training camp at 6 a.m. That was
When did you sleep?
at like 9
Oh, okay.
9 p.m.
Yeah.
Unless we finished at 10 p.m. Then I would sleep at like 11, wake
Yeah.
up at 3.
Yeah, still insane.
No, because I made a bet with the S&C coach there, and he was like, "I bet you won't go to the gym 5 times this month." And I'm like, "Bet." So I went every single day for like
But you didn't pick after? You picked the morning?
no, because after like afternoon treatment, like a bunch of the student interns and I, we would go to the field and
Yeah.
train. Like we would play football. And, like
No,
run
that's
around.
cool.
Yeah, we would just like hang out. And I'm like, oh, like I'm missing a whole month of like competition. Like I need to like be better. Like learn from like the drills that I'm watching at field coverage and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
do those drills afterwards. So I was just doing that. But yeah.
That's nice. You had a good group.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Well, actually, Josh was a part of my group, I think, when we did our internship. We didn't do anything like that. That sounds way better.
No, we actually went to the concert. We went to a Shaggy concert together. Yeah, we bought the tickets during training camp. We're like, "Hey guys, want to go to a Shaggy concert?" And we're like, "Okay." So we saw like I just saw them like recently, and I'm going to another event with like one of them actually.
That's good.
We
Yeah.
played like in the same football league before entering training camp.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of knew some of them beforehand, and like we're actually just like friends. So
That's good.
yeah, it's very cool.
Friends
And
for life.
yeah, they're going to be at TMU with me in September, which is kind
See,
of
that's
funny.
that's crazy to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like you go from the summer to the fall and like
yeah,
you're
no,
kind of bonded together for the
yeah.
rest of your career.
I would go to like different events in the summer. Even last year, before I even like met them officially, like we kind of just knew each other because we'd see each other a lot at different like leagues. I would be like out at an event at like 10 p.m. at night, and I would see them. I'm like, why am I running into you like every other month?
That's good though. That's like wicked networking
Yeah,
by
yeah,
accident.
yeah,
Yeah.
literally.
Well,
So
small world.
it is.
Yeah, very
It's
small world.
such a small world. So funny. So much fun though.
It is. It's a
Yeah.
lot of fun. You
Yeah.
want to dig in?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We already started recording, so
I know.
Yeah. It's been like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes.
Almost 20 minutes.
this is normal. This
Okay,
is
okay.
normal.
We start recording like I edit everything and it hits like 30 minutes sometimes before I officially
Oh,
post it. Yeah.
okay.
So
Just
this is news. This is not new to us.
Okay.
Yap Central. Oh my gosh.
All
For
right,
real.
what's on the docket? Oh,
Um
am I allowed to look?
no, you're not allowed to like no, I'm
Okay.
joking. You can look. But yeah, you can just like give an introduction to yourself, give like the audience a little bit of your background, your schooling and like your experience in AT.
Okay. I'm gonna need to know. Okay.
So background on schooling. Let's go. Let's start with that.
I have an awkward background in schooling. So I was a terrible student back in high school. How far back should I go?
As
As
much
far,
as
As
you
much as
think
you
is
want to,
relevant.
but you think
okay.
it's relative.
When I was 6 years old, no.
Okay.
So in high school I didn't do very well. I did 5 years on me because I was like I want to play sports.
Mhm.
So funny funny thing happened was you remember career civics and career?
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh.
So clearly as I said, I wasn't a very studious student, and so I didn't do that assignment until the last minute. And I don't know about you guys, but for us it was like a computer program. You just press yes no,
Mhm.
and you
Yeah.
just ranked a bunch of stuff. So athletic therapy came at the end of that assignment, and I was like, what is this? Whatever, I don't care. And so I just submitted it, and then my 5th year came around, and I was like, man, maybe I should do that assignment again. So I actually went back, did it, and athletic therapy came up, and I was like, okay, what is this? So then I looked and I'm like, oh my God, it blends everything I want. I never want to sit at a desk.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be outside playing sports all the time. And like, I want every day to be different.
Mhm.
And I was like, and I hate writing and I hate math and I hate all these other subjects. And I'm like, this doesn't include any of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I could just like apply. So then I went to Sheridan as a high school student, I was like one of four, I think, that actually got accepted. And like I didn't do any of the requirements we were supposed to
That's
because they
crazy.
were implementing them that year. So you needed like your CPR, you needed a bunch of
Mhm.
hours to get in. And so they told me that afterwards. So I collected it afterwards.
And you were one of the four?
Yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
I feel like I was, when they enroll you and then they're like, hey, these are like the weeds. Like
Yeah.
they'll just do the first year and then we'll weed them out. I feel like I was supposed to be there. And then I don't know if you know about Sheridan from the students that you've guys have been placed with, but they're mostly direct entries. So they've all done like a previous undergrad
Yeah,
degree.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I didn't know that at all. So I came in and I'm like 19, 18, 19, I guess. I have a late birthday and they're all like 24.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
What did I get myself
yeah,
into?
I don't know if I want to do this. And it was just like my competitive spirit that just probably drove me through the first year of like, they already know, so I have to catch up. I have to
Yeah.
play underdog. And I was at residence, so I was away from home,
Mm.
which is like the worst combo, by the way.
Yeah.
It wasn't very far. I live in Scarborough and it was in Brampton. I
Yeah.
could have done the drive,
Yes.
Yeah.
but we all know. Yeah.
Brampton drivers.
Well, that, yeah.
So
But
weird.
yeah, I didn't want to be at home at all. So, um, but I did get into like other universities and like it was a crazy story. So I did that for 4 years. Hardest thing I've ever done in my life because I had no idea what I was getting
Mhm.
myself into. But I just started locking in. And when people were like, when someone's like, oh, like I just the epiphany happened and like the switch flipped and
Mhm.
no, no, no. It was nothing like that for me. I literally just had to work harder. And then everyone like that had 4 years above me worked harder. And then I had to work even harder. And then by the end of the 4 years, I just accumulated the working
Mhm.
hard, dedication, or like I had to be. And it was just consistent and it was built into the program. So when I left, I was like, oh my God, like I just work hard now. Like I don't know what else
Yeah.
to do. Like I'm just like eat, breathe, and sleep athletic therapy all the time, right? And I'm sure that comes across
Yeah.
with when I'm with you guys, right? So yeah, I just loved it. So I just kept going and kept going and kept going, and then I worked. Oh no, we'll do education so I don't jump around. But I had a 6 year gap between Sheridan and then going into my master's.
Mhm.
And when I walked into York to do my master's, I was like, I got this. No problem. No chance.
Six
It
years
was
removed.
yeah, it was like a big deal. So I walked into my first and I decided like I don't know, I just bit off more than I could chew. So I did a neuroscience diploma on top of my master's at the
Crazy.
same time.
Wow.
And I had never done neuroanatomy, neuroscience, neuro anything in my entire life. And I was like, I got this, no problem. I had like this bloated head that I'm older than everyone. And I was like, I probably accumulated
Yeah.
some experience here. No, did not translate. So I remember the textbooks like this thick, like thousands of pages. And I was like, I'm gonna read every page like I did back in like AT. No, didn't understand a single word. So I struggled. That was the lowest grade I've ever gotten in my entire like high school removed
Mhm.
because I was a
Yeah.
terrible student. Um, in my entire like postgraduate or post secondary education, I got a C plus. And the first time I'd ever had a 50% exam, 50% or midterm, 50% final, all written. It was like a stack of papers like this on concepts I still had no idea about. So and like I studied for like I thought I knew how to study. So I did that. It was 2 years back to back, and I went from this person that was like all anatomy, all conditions, all assessments, like what we do, right? Taping, like I lived, breathed, and I was that world, right?
Mhm.
And I went into like the dopamine gateway, and like I was just so out of my field, right? So I went. It was just such a huge transition.
Fish out of water.
Fish out of water, yeah, out for a while.
Yeah.
And then it didn't click until I was able to start my project, my research, that I really kind of came to grips with like I do need to know this stuff.
Mhm.
Like I was doing research on the visual system and that's all neural,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I started understanding what I had done previous as my previous work experience was to do with vision. So I started understanding it more and I was applying it a little bit more and I was like, okay, this has some use to me. And so that's when I started coming to grips with that. But yeah, it was a fish out of water for a while, for almost 2 years. And then I went into my PhD and I'm like a whale out of water at this point.
Mhm.
Like I'm learning how to do all these different types of things that I never thought I would do as an athletic therapist. I actually never thought I'd be here. If you asked me like 10 years ago, Michael, you're going to be doing a PhD, I'd be like, that's hilarious. So, um, and yeah, I feel like if I could do it, anyone can do it because all I knew how to do was just work, right?
Yeah.
That was it. So I just applied pressure, like they just applied pressure, and I just accepted that pressure and kept going, right? So, yeah, so I'm in my fourth year of my PhD, hopefully going to defend either this year or next year. I've done all my requirements. Now it's the easy, hard part where I just have to write. So,
All right.
yeah, that's
Nice.
my educational experience.
Wow.
He went 2018 LeBron on this. Locked in.
Oh,
Yeah. He really looked at you like,
yeah, I was like, what did you say? Oh my God.
no, at least it worked out for you at the end of the day.
Okay, for a long time, I thought I was gonna be a physician.
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
yeah, so after Sheridan, I was like, I'm gonna be a doctor. We just went through the hardest 4 years of my life. Like, I could be a doctor. And I actually went back to high school night school.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay.
I was like 20 something at the time, and I went back and did night school to do all my math again. It
Oh,
was crazy.
To get your grades back
Yeah,
up,
it was
right? Yeah.
crazy to sit beside like a grade 10, and they're just doing it
yeah.
for like
For credit.
credit,
Yeah.
normal credit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm here like learning it for the first time because again, I was a bad student. And
This is a parabola.
yeah, yeah, no joke. Yeah. And I did all of that, all up to grade 12, night school. And then I just never, I was like, nah, I sat inside of an office and my supervisor literally said, I know this is the point that changed because she was like, how often do you treat patients? And at this time, I'm doing night school, but I'm also still treating people,
Mhm.
right? And I was like, oh, I treat them for like, 30 minutes, an hour. And she's like, how much do you affect them, do you think, over your like course of treatment? I'm like, oh, a lot. Like we get better. Like I have rehab programs for them. I'm very involved in their care. And she was like, okay, now your doctor to you, how often do you see them? I'm like, maybe twice a year if I'm
Yeah.
injured, like more maybe, I don't know. And she's like, how long in that period? I was like, 10, 15 minutes.
Hmm.
And she's like, so you would have to see your doctor like 4 to 6 times a year for you to equal the same amount of time you might treat a patient in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
Light bulb.
Yeah.
why would I do like another 8 years of school to see someone for 10
Yeah.
minutes?
Yeah.
Right. And so that kind of switched my patient care brain where I was like, oh, wait a second, I can affect my patients right now and get them better in their musculoskeletal injuries, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And instead of just maybe giving them medication or maybe just giving them a referral to a specialist or
Yeah.
you don't get to see them very often so you don't affect their care, right?
Yeah.
So that's what kind of switched this whole educational curve for me, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, more times I feel when you like sprain an ankle, you don't go to your family physician, or at least I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Just because you're not spending that much time with them.
Yeah.
More times people just go to their family physician if they need like a referral for something or if they need like any medication or to do like
Yeah.
blood work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember going to the doctor for my knee when I was a kid, and my file is like a little tiny file, right?
Yeah.
He literally walked in. He's like, okay, this is how you do a stretch. He didn't even enter. He's just like at the door. This is how you do a stretch. You'll be fine. Puts the file back into the little thing on the door and leaves. And I waited for like 5 or 10 minutes. My mom came to get me because I still thought he was gonna come into the room. I thought, when like the doctor comes in, oh, I'll be with you in a
Yeah.
second,
Yeah.
and then goes sees another patient, then comes back and actually talks to you.
Yeah.
I thought that's what he was doing. He just never came back. And my mom was like, it's time to go. And I was like, oh.
That's it.
And I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'm fine. I don't know. Yeah, didn't even look at me. So, yeah, I have a bad history with family physicians. But now I have a great relationship with mine.
Of
But
course, of course.
back when I was a kid, it was like they don't.
Yeah.
What are
Their
you
file's
doing?
not this thick. Yeah, they don't really want to look at you. So, yeah,
Yeah. Damn.
Well, glad to know that you're no longer going the physician route and
yeah,
going down the athletic therapy route. So
yeah,
tell us a bit more about that, like your experience in that field.
yeah. It again a little windy of a curve. Everyone has like this nice linear projection after you're done school.
Mhm.
I would really suggest you guys just open every door like open your minds and the doors to everything because it brought me to where I am today.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I did right out of school, I did pro sports. I did pro football in Canada, and it just wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I worked really, really hard, and you work really, really hard when you're there. But I remember there was a day where I had to meet my girlfriend at a festival, and I literally was in my gear from top to bottom because I was leaving practice.
Yeah.
And I get there, and it's like 10:30 at night. They're just settling down for the night, meaning like they're like getting the
Yeah.
drinks, their appetizers, all that stuff. And I'm like, I have my head like I'm just tired. And I remember seeing a picture of me, and I'm like, like
Ooh, looking rough.
yeah,
Looking rough. That's a whole day.
I feel like I haven't slept in like that looks like someone that hasn't slept in years, right? So I kind of evaluated it. I'm like, this isn't for me, right? Like I definitely can do it, right? You have to be as sharp as
Yeah.
sharp as a knife there, but and I was, but it just wasn't my lifestyle.
Mhm.
So then I turned to the clinic. And when I turned to the clinic, I think I went to the wrong clinic because it also turned me off of that.
Oh,
But
no.
the clinic I went to had all types of practitioners, which you would love to be with, right? But it was a what's a great word for it? Like a run of the mill kind of
Mm.
clinic where a patient will see, let's say like you're a chiro, you're a massage, I'm a physio, and there's an AT.
Yeah.
It would be 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes.
Oh.
They're on the floor 10 minutes, they're on the machines for 10 minutes.
Wow.
So I really saw them and I was like, okay, so like what can we do for your ankle? And they're like, oh, well, they divulge the entire story of their whole
Yeah.
week, including their grocery list. And you're like, oh my God, your time is up. And I'm like, wow, like I cannot believe you just paid for this, right? That's what I'm thinking in my head. And I'm like, this isn't for me, right? It was a really bad experience coming out of school, like going into a clinic. And so I was like, you know what? Like, let me, like, I talked to my boss, I did a little extra time with people, and they really, really liked that. And I was getting people better, and I was like, this is great. And then it just didn't move from there. So then I'm just confused at this point. I'm 22, 23, right? I'm like just fresh out of school.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I'll just get whatever job. I'll just get another job. So I did vision therapy, which is, I don't know if you guys know about vision therapy.
Not really, no.
Yeah.
Tell us more about
Yeah,
it.
let me give you the background. Hope I don't botch this, but I was there for 6 years, so I should probably know. What you do is people have eye conditions. So like if you get a concussion or in a car accident or just born with where their eye is turned in. So I don't know if you've ever seen someone where their one eye is straight and the other one's turned
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
So you can actually turn that eye out with
Oh.
therapy, with visual therapy, by redeveloping the nerve in the brain, essentially. This is where that neuroscience I was talking about
Yeah.
before started like applying itself retrospectively, but it still was applying. So I would treat all the concussion patients because I had an athletic background and I dealt with concussions before. So I was seeing a lot more of these, and I would get an hour with these patients because they wouldn't let them book any less time.
Yeah.
So I got their story of the day, which only was 10 minutes, and I was like, great, I have 50 more minutes to affect this person. And I started to see these dramatic changes, and I wouldn't manipulate their head or anything. I wouldn't treat their neck or anything like that. I would literally make them do all these different types of visual exercises, and over like a course of I don't know, and it's a long course, like 6 months or something.
Mm.
Of seeing them once a week, for 6 months,
Yeah.
essentially. You would see that dramatic turn, and I've seen like 15-year-olds who have had concussions that couldn't focus because they
Mhm.
thought they had ADHD
Yeah.
and stuff like that, come back and be, you know, reading at a higher level than what their normal is and or what their average is supposed to be, and they just feel better. You see them, and they're so much different. And so that blended into my sports background. They actually gave me athletes, and so I was like, "What? Why are you giving me people who have good eyes? This doesn't make any sense."
Mhm.
And then I did my own research because my bosses weren't, they were just doing whatever. So I started doing my own research and I was like, wait, you can improve the visual system. You can make it faster, literally. And I was like, okay, there's something to this. So then I stuck around there for a bunch of time and I kind of reached my capacity of like, I've learned everything I can.
Mhm.
I actually was reading textbooks at work. Like it was crazy and like research articles. And I actually started a research project on my own in this clinic. Like I would already just had this curious mindset and this hard work mindset, and they just started to like blend into each other. So but I hadn't worked it with my hands and like I would say like you guys do every single day. I would only treat like maybe I don't know, family and friends, let's say. So I was really out of my realm. So then I jumped back in right after that, and I was working at, I forget, it was like another clinic, but I'd always done like first responder stuff too. Like that would never left. That was something I've always enjoyed, obviously. Um, but yeah, then I dived back in and I was like, oh my God, now I can apply my physical hand skills, like manipulating joints and stuff like that. Now I know the entire brain for some random reason of this other workplace. And I started meshing it together. And that's where like everything started to blend together. And then people started asking me what I knew. And I was like, oh my God, I enjoy talking, clearly. So then I was like, maybe I can teach people, like teach ATs to be like, not like me, but like make little mini me's of like people who are looking to search for knowledge and want more and more and more and, want to get their hands dirty. So that's where I am at this point is learning how to educate, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's like this weird, like windy road of like I thought I was gonna be in pro sports, no, clinic, no, right? And now education. We'll see if that goes.
Yeah, wow. I had no idea vision therapy was actually like an avenue that we could get into, and it actually like makes so much sense in terms of like working with athletes and improving their reaction time. It actually reminds me of like F1 drivers.
Yeah,
Like how much reaction time matters so much because like if they make one wrong move, they're done. They're crashing their car.
Yeah.
They could possibly like die.
yeah.
And I would watch like the Netflix series. Sorry, this is like so out of
No,
topic,
no,
but
no.
like I'd watch it
I'm
and
invested. Don't worry.
yeah, so like seeing how they train and I'd like scroll through Instagram and I follow some of them, so I see like the kind of like training that they do and it's like crazy.
Yeah,
It's so like intense and like not in the same way that you would think other athletes would train as well.
yeah.
So it's very interesting.
There's cause side tangent, but you have something called peripheral vision
Yes.
and central vision, and there's a connection between those two that you can train as well. So, for instance, an F1 driver, his central vision is processing I think it's like 280 miles an hour,
Mm-hmm.
but your
Insane.
Yeah.
I think it is. I might be wrong, but your peripheral vision's even faster because it doesn't take in color and it doesn't take in like defined shape, but it does take in distance and it does take in speed. So they are reacting faster. They're trying to make those two worlds come together where they can
Yeah.
both centrally focus and peripherally focus and actually like in your brain, the parietal, I don't want to get into the weeds, but your parietal lobe processes this information and so, or helps process it. And so they're trying to like merge those so that I bet you if we did like an MRI scan, their entire brain would be lighting up as they drive. That's crazy. I always
Yeah.
thought about that.
Yeah.
And their necks are like so strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, their traps
It's
crazy.
huge,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. The amount of G's they go under is insane.
Yeah.
They have no neck.
Yeah,
It's just
there's-
like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
no, they're
Yeah.
just like in the car and like I don't know. It's just like crazy watching the whole thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so since like that was kind of like a good segue into like the next part, as like your experience as an instructor. Doesn't matter if it has to be like here or like wherever else you were teaching.
Okay. I really enjoy it. I get lost a lot. I mean, like lost as in like in thought, as
Mhm.
well as like on tangents, like
Yeah.
but I really, really enjoy it because I think when you catch, it's like what's it's like catching a star,
Mhm.
if that makes sense, like in Mario or something.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you guys are excited to learn, you absorb so much, right? And when you're not excited, you can tell, and
Mhm.
that's the cool part to me is like why is it important to you? Or how can I make it important to you?
Mhm.
Right? And
Fantasy.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
And or like what I do is like gamification. Like if I'm excited, it's like you want people want to gravitate toward that, right?
Mhm.
So that's my experience in its entirety, I would say. I really, really enjoy it because I think when I'm excited about stuff, I can really articulate it well, which is nice because then you guys understand it. But then you guys are also engaged as well. So like the example of our FR class, that was me going absolutely rogue because I was like, I cannot stand here and lecture off of a screen and I can't just regurgitate stuff to you,
Mhm.
Yeah, no.
right? It was just I need to make this fun for me because I'm not going to get through the semester
Yeah.
otherwise, right? So I'll make it fun for you. And I remember that class being like a pivotal point in my learning like pedagogy of
Oh.
like how to teach because it flowed with me,
Mhm.
right? So if I like hit a flow with that. So I lectured before. I'd done like tons of presentations before, and I really didn't like that because it's a very like showmanship,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. Here it was like down and dirty. You guys asked me questions, and I was like, man, I didn't even think of that. Or like you would make up your own scenarios, and I'd be like, whoa, that's a dynamic, critical thought you just had that I didn't even think of. And it's not to say that I should have every answer, and that was the perfect part because you guys, there's like 30 of you.
Mhm.
That's like 30 different brains coming up with 30 different ways of think, right? So it's just exciting to see.
Yeah.
But hopefully, I'll be a professor one day, and kind of impart that on other students.
I hope you will. I think when you started teaching first responder to us, it retained way better than I did in the first semester because again, it was a huge class, right?
Yeah,
It was what 40 something of us?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was
didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was split into three, so you only saw a third of us,
Oh, okay.
like
Yeah.
every Friday at 8 a.m. And I mean, for you to keep us engaged at 8 a.m. on
Yeah.
a Friday morning, more kudos to
Yeah,
you.
Yeah.
yeah. And then just doing all those like the competitions,
Yeah.
the constantly asking questions and pairing us in groups to get us more familiar with like roles and different tasks that we have to do. I think it really goes to show that you speak student and you speak instructor as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a unique part that I have here. Like I'm not as far away from you guys in age
Hmm.
than the profs are, right? And so, and honestly, like I still do a lot of hands-on and field work. It's just like I can't let go of it.
Yeah.
So, like I can actually tell you guys like, oh, Saturday I had this thing, and you're like, oh my God, Saturday I was at a game and I had something too, right? Whereas that might not be the same case with other profs. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, so it's more relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which definitely worked out for me. I think big part just helps all of us in the long run.
I won't lie, the point where you started speaking French.
Wait, we need to give our audience
Okay,
context.
yeah, true. So I had this scenario built for you and another student.
It
What
was
you?
me. We were partners for first
Oh,
responders.
yeah, that's right. Okay, and then I had this other student. She spoke French, and I was like, "Oh my God, you're gonna have a concussion, and you're gonna know nothing. You're gonna revert to French and just start speaking it in your scenario." And I was trying to get you guys
Mm-hmm.
so bad. Like that's all I did with my students was like, or with you guys specifically, is you're at this, I would put the bar here and just make you struggle to that bar. And then the next group to go, I would just raise the bar again. And every single person learned from that. They're like, oh my God, I'm next. I have to do something even harder. Right. And so I thought that was the hardest thing I could possibly throw at you. And I told this to I tell this story to everybody. You guys walk in. No,
Yeah.
you
No,
take the
we
story.
were
You take the story.
we were like outside of the door and we're like, I bet he's
You're
trying to create
yeah.
like a scenario to make us like or throw a curveball at us. We're
And then
like,
you were charged. No, yeah,
I
you
was
were the
charged
charge.
and you were
I was doing
yeah.
vitals and everything like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So keep going.
So we go in and basically we went in with those roles of me being the charge person and then Ryan being the control person
Or call person.
or call person.
Yeah.
Basically the second person who does like all of the vitals and everything. And then as we're halfway through asking the questions, she starts speaking in French and I look at Ryan, I'm like, switch, switch right now. And then everyone just like got up from their seat and they're like, what did I just watch?
That
And that was actually your reaction.
Yeah,
You got
I
up.
lost it. I think I got up. I was like, no way. Not only did you guys like you were able to switch so fluidly, you started speaking Spanish,
Yeah.
answering her questions, and got. I think she got a little
Yeah, she did.
like, yeah, you took her off of her seat, kind of thing. Oh my God, that was so good.
I was so locked in though, because
You guys were.
I didn't
Yeah,
see anyone jump or anything. I
yeah.
didn't
We
hear anything.
all jumped.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
see it. I was just like, what's going on? What's that? And then I think you told me afterwards, like everyone was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I was like,
In the morning, then everyone finds out that Ryan spoke French.
Yeah. Like, oh my God. How long had you known French?
I've been doing French immersion since grade 5, so
Oh my
it's
God.
rusty, but like,
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is like Rusty's good enough, right? You got the information.
Just pass by.
yeah.
Honestly, that's all you need.
Man, that was so good. That was a fun class for sure.
Yeah.
It's funny. It was really funny, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I tell that story to everybody. By the way, sorry.
Aw,
Okay, don't worry about it.
prodigies.
And now you have the faces to match with the story.
Yeah, yeah, everyone
That's
can see
actually
that.
hilarious. I think back at that because I don't know, first responder was a time. I think it was rough getting to school. So
Yeah,
that's just what made it worse. But I mean, like getting through the class after it would be like 9 something in the morning. I'm like, oh, well, like at least we're done and like we have the rest of the day. And it wasn't too bad. And at least it's hands on. I feel like if it was like a lecture, I wouldn't even bother coming to school, to be honest.
yeah,
I
that
would
was
just go to school to sleep and then drive home.
yeah, that was a good year.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad I wasn't able to replicate that.
Mm.
Oh, not this year?
No,
Oh.
no, because it was too big of a class, and we changed it. Like it was, that's what I'm telling you. Like when I went rogue, that was like my flow state. Like I really enjoyed it. I made you guys do like scavenger
Yeah.
hunts.
Yeah.
I think I went to like a couple of conferences that year, so I couldn't go to classes.
Yeah.
I had stuff planned for you. Like that just felt, yeah. Like I enjoyed doing all that work, which is I think what educators should be
Yeah.
doing. You know, enjoying it, right? So
Have you instructed anywhere else, like another facility or like institution?
no, no.
Oh,
But like part of being an AT, it's like you're always instructing.
yeah,
That is
that's
Right?
true.
true.
Yeah.
Like you're just constantly educating your patient about everything, anything they ask you, right? Like within your scope.
Were you the one who thought of the peer mentor, peer mentee thing?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I had a
It was
feeling.
his name is written all
Yeah.
I had a feeling because
yeah.
like I find myself so I for context, I already have two peer mentees. Like they reached out to me and everything, asked
Prior to you being a third year?
yeah,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
yeah,
I know.
because they're with me at George Brown next year.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
they're already asking like, oh, let's meet up, let's do everything. I'm just like, yeah, sure, why not? So I already find myself teaching them skills and little hacks that I know, and I'm just like, I'm channeling my inner Mike.
yeah.
Be like Mike.
Yeah, be like Mike.
In all fairness, it was like a group effort idea. Like I'm not gonna take full credit of anything I do.
He's just humble.
Yeah. But no, that was yeah, that was like a group effort that we all came up with. Like, yeah, you guys need to teach the younger years. I think it was Mike that actually put it into the third year
Mm.
program. Yeah, because that's where it fits the best,
Yeah.
right? So,
Mhm.
but yeah, we needed that. I think we needed that because COVID happened and you guys not
No, we were after
after,
COVID.
yeah,
Yeah.
they just didn't talk to each other, of course, because they kind of couldn't. They couldn't get together. So it was like, what's the next step to get you guys to like collaborate with each other? So that was the peer mentorship.
Yeah. And it makes sense as like class sizes keep getting bigger and bigger. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Works out.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you
So
find like instructing tutorials? Because it's so different from like how Sheridan is formatted.
yeah, I enjoy both. Actually, no, I would say lecturing style, like just like straight lecture. I would I wouldn't fit that mold. Like what I'll end up doing if I have to do that would be just making it my own, right? Like I normally do.
Mhm.
But with the tutorial style that you guys do, like case-based learning, I enjoy that. Because like I'm thinking, I know I talk way too much. I know that. And I always said that in tutorial because I just enjoy like the information, right? And I'm like, man, I wish I was a student again. But I really enjoy it because as you guys are talking and going through your research, I'm like, oh, the amount of times in my head I'm saying, oh my God, I didn't read that. I gotta go back and read what you guys brought. I'm like, man, you're going to such depths here. And I was like, this is fantastic. You're making me a student. So it's like I'm getting enjoyment out of it because you're bringing articles to class or like new information to class that I'm like, oh my God, I have to go back and research, which is like my favorite thing to do apparently now. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And then like behind the scenes, like there are guardrails that we have in place so that we're not like flying off the rails with certain
Yeah.
information. So I'm constantly like looking at that stuff, but yeah, I enjoy it a lot better than the traditional style.
Maybe consider making new case studies every few years. That way, keeps you guys on your toes too.
Yeah, yeah. It's challenging to make case studies.
Yeah.
The behind the scenes, it's like there's we have to make sure all of like these competencies that you guys are hitting.
True.
And so to make a case study, it sounds so simple. Like, oh, like a 45-year-old rolls their ankle, but like in the ones that we have, every single word means something, and we have to make sure because if we don't, we know who's gonna tell us about it, right? So you guys are gonna be like, but it says the and not
Yeah.
some other thing, right? And I'm like,
Overthinkers,
oh.
overthinkers.
So
Give us an hour and a half just to overthink
yeah,
every single line. You know how many times we read over
Oh
the
my
case
god.
study?
yeah,
After like the first day, we're like, should we read it again? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 30 minutes go by. Let's read it again.
yeah. I remember someone, I might have been from your year, brought up grip strength,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we put, I'm gonna make this up, but it's like pounds per kilogram or something, or like the force per
Yeah.
Yes.
kilogram. And I was like, wait a second. You guys started asking me questions, and I'm like, wait a second. Let me just go look up some stuff. Not a single article could I find actually converted it into what we had said sent to you guys.
Mm.
So I reached out to the faculty, I reached out to everyone, and I couldn't find the grip strength that we told you guys. So, and like that's what you guys do. It's like every single detail counts, and I totally agree.
Mhm.
When you're with your patient, every single detail counts,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know if we. I left that to the
Mm-hmm.
the ones that get
Yep.
above my pay grade to fix. So we'll see. But I think that's another case study that needs to get changed. But you guys always are like so particular, which is amazing because I think you check us as well as we check you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goes two ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it should.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah.
Accountability.
Yeah.
That's what the program's for.
So, have any of these case studies been like very focused on what you're researching?
No one. No, actually not anymore. My research is so different now. So not anymore, no. But like one of them is a concussion one. So like
Okay.
that's my research is in concussion. So I enjoy that one
Mhm.
a lot. So I kind of have to like dial back because I might it's not everything I know you guys need to
Yeah.
know, right? It's that's why you go into a master's or a PhD
Mhm.
program. So um but yeah, normally most of these case studies are patients that we've had and we've changed details. I think I wrote one and then I helped write like all the others.
Mm.
Like we all like got together and wrote them. But someone comes up with like, okay, I had this patient, there's a cool injury, and then we like all sit together and we collaborate and we like make up this case study. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do
Very
you
cool.
guys find the case studies actually?
I like them, to be
I
honest.
I
How much
really like.
does the upper year hand you from the lower year? Like the third year to the second year, second to first.
No,
Not that I know of,
no,
at least.
because
Okay, you guys are on the wrong team then, because there's people are passing down information all the time,
really,
and we
Okay.
we actually expect that.
because to me it's just like, oh, we had to suffer through this, so they have to suffer through
Really?
this
It's like
too.
a rite of passage.
Yeah,
That's what I think.
Okay.
because
If
like
anyone asked me, I'd be like, figure it out yourself.
the only thing I tell them is like, you know the area, so just research that area.
Yeah, yeah.
So if it's like shoulder dislocation, subluxation, or is it impingement, like that's for
Yeah.
you to decide. That's not my job, right?
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't mind like teaching them certain stuff and certain concepts, but I wouldn't give them the answer right away.
yeah,
Okay.
Just because it's like part of just the career and
Yeah.
the job. You have to figure it out. I think the hardest part of being like an athletic therapist is just doing the assessment. I think that's like the hardest part, at least.
Yeah, the history.
Because
agreed.
yeah,
Actually, history taking is not too bad. It's doing the actual assessment to me is the
no,
hardest.
Yeah.
like history taking, but like figuring out what's going on.
Yeah.
That's like the hardest thing.
It's really like a puzzle. Like the way I used to think about it in school, you get the border of the puzzle
hmm
because the person walks in, you kind of know their age, you kind of know their sex and their injury, they might be limping or something. So you kind of get the border, and then they like give you all the pieces to the puzzle upside down and like in different rooms, and
hmm
you have to go find it all.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like exciting to like piece that puzzle together, and then at the end trying to figure out the problem, right? And um, that's where I see like a lot of students right now are getting lost, not knowing how to put those pieces of the puzzle together. But not necessarily do you need as a student to know all the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know all the pieces of
Yeah.
the puzzle. Like I'm still learning every single day, right? But it's the excitement of like, oh my God, that matched. Or like, oh my God, that was a positive test.
Yeah.
I know what that is,
Yeah.
right? Like those are the pieces I'm talking about as you connect them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the picture.
Yeah. That's all what research is about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Staying up till 2 in the morning just to present it at 9 in the morning.
Yeah, like robots
Yeah,
sometimes.
and to figure out, oh, but that actually wasn't relevant. Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Just delete all 50 of my tabs.
Oh,
The amount of times I'm in the car with you, I'm just like, I had this last night. I don't think that makes sense. Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to present today then.
Well, once it's like 12 a.m., I'm like, I'm closing this. I'm going to bed. We'll figure it out.
Well, and I taught during COVID. That was the most interesting because
Oh,
everyone was at home,
yeah.
right? And I'm like, how do I keep like a tutorial engaging?
Mm-hmm.
It was not. It was just like,
I'd
okay,
imagine, yeah.
your turn. They're like, my notes are, and they would just like tell me what they like tell everybody,
Yeah.
and then like everyone's muted, right?
Yeah.
Or just cameras off,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
naturally. So the only way I did that was like I was like everyone's cameras gotta be on,
Mhm.
and then I would like ask them random questions.
Hmm.
Obviously,
Yeah.
that's like my MO.
Yeah, we experienced that this year with the strike.
Oh,
Yeah, so we couldn't do in-person tutorial at some
Yeah.
point.
yeah,
So it would just be Mel and then the rest of us all blanked
black.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we would turn on our cameras. I like it when people turn on their cameras because I'm nosy, so I like to see what happens. And sometimes, like, I'm eating, or I think like during our Friday morning like practicum Zoom classes, like Kyla and I, we would go to the gym and then we would have brunch after, or like breakfast.
Yeah,
But then the meeting's going on, so then we have we have our phones set up on like the side of us, and then you see both of us in the same screen eating our breakfast. Or sometimes we would all be at the same house on like different sides of a table, and you
yeah.
see like a piece of food being passed around us to like three different screens.
It was like a bowl of fruit the
Yeah.
other time. That
Yeah,
was really funny, yeah.
that was funny. I'd imagine what it's like on the other side. But I like seeing when people have pets and then like a
Bring it
camera
out.
goes on. Yeah. And I'm like, now I'm distracted.
So you're not paying attention at all.
No, no, it's just semi.
No, that's to be expected, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything with online classes.
Yeah, if I was redoing school at this time, I think I would not do well. Even online classes for when I was in school, because I went through COVID
Mhm.
throughout my
Yeah.
master's. We had seminar every Friday, and I would just put the seminar on. I would put it on loud so I could hear whatever I was doing.
But you're doing something else
Yeah,
at the same time,
yeah,
so.
It's like a podcast.
really, yeah. At the end of it, it was like a podcast. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Anyways, let's move on to the next topic. um, just because we touched on it a little bit, would you want to talk about what your research is about and what it kind of entails?
You can talk
And
about your current research
yeah,
or even the past research or anything you want to share about it.
Okay.
and I guess like why you got into it, to be honest.
Great question.
Yeah.
Fell into that. My master's research was in the visual system,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
and I treated a lot of patients with visual problems in that vision clinic. So I was very interested in the speed of how eyes move. And actually there's a control in your brain. It's an inhibitory control. So for like the F1 drivers, right? Like they have to have a reaction time of go no go. Essentially, that's what it's called. Go no go. And so I was looking at the difference between go no go between something called the Stroop task. So if you've ever seen it, it's like the word red is in the color blue,
Oh,
Oh,
I've seen that.
yeah, yeah,
and you have to say either one. So, like language happens in one part of your brain and colors happen in another part, and then when you mix them, they have to kind of combine themselves.
yeah.
And so, what I was testing is when that information, you see the information, it goes into your brain, it's about to come out in the verbal system. Can you stop it, and how fast can you stop it? Like not make the mistake or that incorrect response. So that's what I was looking at with those who've had a concussion prior. So when we looked at all the information, it wasn't very interesting. Like globally, you're just looking at numbers, but we found no difference.
Huh.
And so in my head, as this person that's been out of school for so long, and now I'm back in, I'm thinking about significance. I want significance, and we found no significance over like 400 athletes in this task that we did. And it was my supervisor who was like, "That's fantastic news." And I was like, "No, it's not. I don't have significance." And she's like, "Michael, every single athlete who had a concussion, you can't tell if it's affected their visual system and their cognitive system." I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess that's good. Like you can actually heal back to the norm, right?"
It's not significant.
So I kind of got that researcher's brain at that point. So it was really nice to have that result at the beginning because it kind of taught me this valuable lesson that we're looking for both significant and non-significant data, right? So that was kind of cool doing that. I got to use like a virtual reality system, and
Sick.
I don't know if you guys ever saw it.
I haven't seen it in person, but I've heard about it being talked about in like rehab.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So this company did it, and then they had their engineers like put the actual program, the Stroop task is
Hmm.
what it's called, into the goggles, which was nice. And I got to work with them. Um, so yeah, I think we do it every year as part of the baseline now.
Hmm.
I don't think we did it last year because my research changed. So now what it is, I'm looking at concussion data at York and hopefully the OCAA. And you know, like the NCAA, how they have all of these colleges and universities,
Hmm.
they collect their information.
Yeah.
Canada doesn't have that.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, well, maybe I can make a mini version
Okay.
in Ontario. So I have York stuff, and then I was going to reach out to all the colleges in Ontario and collect their stuff.
Hence the road trip.
Yeah.
Hence the road trip downstairs, yeah. So collect their information, and then I'd be able to make like a repository or like a centralized database, and then track their injury data over time, and then it gets very boring and in the weeds, but we're looking at incidence rates. So,
Mm,
how often does something occur? So, for instance, as an example, if let's say you're a coach in basketball and women's basketball,
got it.
and you're like, I had 14 concussions this year, and you're like, what the heck? And last year I had six, and the year before I had the zero. And then you give me that data, and I look at it, I'm like, oh, but yeah, that makes sense. You had 10 times more practices and three more games every season since the
Mhm.
data you gave me. Your incidence rate or how many concussions you're going to have naturally will just increase.
Hmm.
Basketball is a bad example, maybe. I don't know.
Football.
Football would be a better example. So that's what I would be looking at all the sports and the sex, and then comparing them between like individual sport versus team sport, male versus female, and there was another comparison, contact versus
Mm,
non-contact sport, obviously.
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's a little bit more PhD-esque, like it's all numbers and injury exposure and stuff like that. But I think I really want to model it after the NCAA because that is the gold standard. It's actually the
Yeah.
longest running, fun fact, longest running injury database for athletes in the entire world
That would make sense.
and
Just
largest.
yeah.
I mean,
Just knowing like how
it's history
America
and
works.
everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, time for you to make the second longest.
I don't know. I think the last one, another fun fact, useless fact, I don't know. So Canada had two of these, two injury systems, one in 1979 and the other one in 1990. And they just fizzled out because I think it was tied to a research project.
Mhm.
And so they had all this funding, they tracked all these like concussions and stuff, and then their research funding like gave out or like there wasn't any. So then they just like, okay, whatever. But they had so much data collected and they
Yeah.
were doing so well at all that collection, but it just fizzled out.
They said no money.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Do
And
you
then
sorry, do you think like that discrepancy between like America's database and like Canada's is because of like how they prioritize like sports?
yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the data that we get right now is from the hospital system,
Mm,
and we prioritize the hospital system as a universal
yeah.
system, right? So the collection is universal as well. Um, and so right now, all of the hospitals that are included in this database, they collect whoever shows up,
Yeah.
right? So like you're an athlete, you get injured, you're not going to the hospital, you're going to your clinic
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
the school. So when I get that number from this
Mhm.
repository or this database, it doesn't include you.
Hmm.
It would never include you because you never showed up.
Yeah.
So that's what we're finding right now is that the age between like 18 and 24 doesn't necessarily exist because they don't participate in this.
Yeah.
They're in the university and the
Mm,
college settings.
Yeah.
So it's a huge missed opportunity or underrepresentation. But in the US system, everything's privatized. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
and then the NCAA is also a nonprofit. So they just hand them their information.
Mm.
Mm.
So they have a very like robust collection of information.
Yeah.
It'll be sick to see your thing take off. Your MCAA.
Yeah, yeah. MC, I like I think I called it the OCID, the Ontario College Sport Injury Registry.
I mean, that's cool too.
Something like that. Yeah. I literally just named it right now because I had to write a proposal.
Got you.
So if you have any better names, let me know.
You can take mine. Like,
He probably wants credit.
Yeah.
no,
You're
it's
the
okay. It's
royalties.
okay.
Yeah.
Hey, are you doing any other research aside from that, or anything else you've delved into in the past?
Yeah. So we're writing a method. It like gets so boring. Or I shouldn't say boring. It's interesting to me, but it's not to many. But they are writing a methods paper based on the research that we're doing here. So at York, we have something called VADAR, which is the Varsity Athletic Data Analytics Research Team, and I'm a part of that, and I help do like everything for that. So they're writing the methods of like how did that occur? How did we do that? Why does York have all these like tests that we do baseline? And how would someone else recreate this? So on top of like writing research of like significance, you can write research of like a method of like how you did something too. So they're writing that paper up. I have a couple of things I owe them for that. So after this, I'm probably gonna go write those. Yeah, but like other than that, I think I did like other research, like vision research back when I was a master's student. Forget that though. Like I mean, like vision therapy research.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't remember that stuff though.
that's fine. It's a long path.
Yeah,
The way you're describing the
I know.
history, it's
I feel
like,
like I talked too
oh,
much. Yeah,
It's
we
fun.
expect it.
yeah,
Used to it.
We
yeah,
planned it.
yeah.
Yeah.
We did.
So, based on your experience in research, what's like some advice you'd give to students who want to get into like this kind of path?
Yeah. You really don't like you gotta want to know what you want to like look at. Um, like as a master's student, I was handed, thankfully, I was handed something that I was interested in. It's not actually the case all the time. But you want to, I would say you getting in, you need to know what you're getting out or like what your outcome is. I really went in thinking, I really went in thinking nothing because I kind of had been diverted from my being a medical doctor plan, right? So then I jumped into a master's with literally no plan, I'll be honest. So, and then this kind of teaching bug caught me, but I would say if you're going to do your master's, and there's a couple of master's programs popping up in AT as well, right? I would want them to know what they want out of it. So if you want to know how to better rehab an ankle, like go in having that kind of passion. But I'll say like doing a PhD is another level. Like you have to really dig deep, and like along the way, I've had really, really deep passion, just ebbs and flows, right? Like there's some days, some months, like multiple months where I'm like, I don't want to do research, right? Like you just don't. But then there are months where you're like, oh my God, I'm getting somewhere. Let's keep pushing forward, right? So, um, yeah, I have no idea what you asked. I'll be honest, but I think it's like what
So basically,
my
having
advice.
passion.
Yeah, passion. Yeah, this is that tangent talk
Yeah.
that I always have. Yeah, I'd say yeah. If going in, my advice would be have the passion to do it.
Mhm.
Um, and like reading the articles is paramount. Even though like back in the day, I used to think I'm reading an article from 1970. What's the importance of this?
Mhm.
There's other research that's kind of trumped this.
Hmm.
It's important to know where you've been in order to know where you need to go. I didn't learn that lesson until just recently. So that was something like when people quote researchers, they're like, "Oh, so and so et al." I don't know. They do that in your line of work, but in mine, I hear that often. Um, they say that because those people were the first to come across that, and so it's important to know like that's the reason why your research is actually going somewhere. It's
Mm.
because the original research was here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Good to look back on the original source.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know research isn't a fun topic. I don't
Yeah,
have any
no.
good stories
Well,
about
it's
research.
interesting
Yeah.
still. Like,
Actually, I can tell you about all the places I've traveled because of research.
let's hear about that. Let's hear about that for a bit.
I've gone to Amsterdam.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
last year, no?
yeah, I think so. I think last year or 2 years ago. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
we went to Amsterdam for the concussion
Hmm.
conference, so that was nice.
Mhm.
I got to you write like posters or like abstracts, and you get to submit them, and then if you're lucky enough, they accept it, and you get to go.
Oh,
So
Nice.
I went to Amsterdam, Calgary. I've been to a bunch of places. I forget, but like BC like 4 times. I think one of those was a vacation though. But yeah, it's like so cool because you actually get to write these articles or like yeah, articles you can call them, and you get to travel. So that was kind of cool. That's about the only cool thing about the research and meeting other new people and stuff like that. Yeah.
Would you say like the driving force towards going like in the research avenue is just like sheer curiosity out of like that person? Because like there
Yeah.
are some like other avenues out like after AT where there's like more stuff that people would gravitate towards. Like in pro sports, people would think like, oh, like I get to work with a professionals team and I get to like travel. But like with research, is it kind of just like I want to figure this out?
Yeah, that's actually such a good question, and it's still a question I think about today.
Yeah.
I think my driving force was curiosity. Like that hard work that I came from of just like grind it out all the time, right? Like if you don't have the answer exists somewhere. You just have to find it. And if you can't find it, you find the two things that are close enough and then you start to build your like idea around that,
Hmm.
right? So my driving force is curiosity. Um, but but sometimes it's like, yeah, I'd say you're right, like curiosity. Because if I'm a data scientist,
Mm-hmm.
so some of the cool jobs you can get out of this, you can be a data scientist or like a clinician scientist where let's say I'm working basketball and percentage of shots and like everything you see on the stat line, that's a data scientist,
Yeah.
right? And they have to have a sport background, well, not have to, but normally they have a sport background, right? So that's a field that I could technically go into if I didn't want to teach, right?
Hmm.
So that could be like your driving force, like a passion for a sport.
Like analytics.
Analytics, yeah, and you want to do that. But you don't need a PhD for that. You don't, maybe you do need a master's for that, but you do need like practical knowledge of like
Hmm.
coding and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I say mine is curiosity, but others could be like a passion for like an end goal, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's probably a passion for an end goal. Yeah, yeah,
I think people who want to get PhDs, they just want to know. And I think you're someone who's always curious. Like you're not just curious about like concussion and AT. You're curious about our lives too and like what we do.
yeah.
So like you having the the feel to like delve into what we do and how to help us do be better at our craft. I think that goes to reflect how good of a researcher you are as well and how good of a person you are. So
We'll see about that.
I'm positive. I'm positive of that. So
But I like that word craft because you guys really hit the nail on the head there. It is a craft. Like your guys' hands, like that is your craft. Like painters paint, you would call
Yeah.
that a craft,
mhm,
right? So um, when you get to a certain point in your career when you can start seeing with your hands and you'll know what that means when it happens, that's the cool part. When you put your hands on someone and you're like, whoa, like I hit a new level in my craft where like this muscle tissue has a divot. Like it is a second degree
I
strain,
felt it the other day.
right?
Yeah.
So and it's so cool. Like I remember back when I was in school, we had they put paint on our hands
Mm-hmm.
and they would make us go on our partners back and forth to show where there were gaps in our hands.
Oh.
Yeah, it was the coolest thing. And so
We should do that.
yeah, honestly, we probably should. So then you could tell that you're too much with your fingers or too much with your palm of your hand, but you're like you practice so you feel with your whole hand. And like coming from my background now of neuroscience, this is the biggest receptor, like one of the biggest receptors in your brain. It takes up a lot of real estate, right? And so you could actually redevelop this to mean something different in your neural connections, where you can actually see, quote unquote, see with your hands. Yeah.
That's crazy. That makes sense though, because they're like whenever we're doing lab, we make a habit of like practicing with our eyes closed, just so like we feel everything with our hands,
Yeah.
because you're not gonna see everything.
Yeah. And like for advice for next year, but you guys are kind of doing this in your practicals and stuff. Go or in your placements, go to different people.
Yes.
Or like different tissues feel so differently on different people,
Yeah.
and that's like I don't know, like a catalog, if you can think about it. Like you have a catalog of all these different people and different types of people and different tissues and different body parts. Like it's just tools for your toolbox, right? It's nice to get your hands on different types of
Mhm.
people. So
Yeah.
that's a weird saying, but in
Oh,
this context, totally works.
I get it. I understand.
Only these people here and probably listening will understand
Yeah, just know the context of
that.
it. If you take it out of the context,
Yeah.
go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds pretty good for like the main bulk of like the episode. I think we're good to go into lightning round questions.
Uh-oh.
You ready?
These are like quick answers, right?
Well, you take your time.
There's no timer
Not
on
good
you.
at this. This is what gets me my anxiety.
Just know he would be bad in Family Feud.
I'm so good at Family Feud
Oh,
because I can think outside the box.
Oh,
Or I can think
true,
inside the
true.
box that they have.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's bad at improv.
Yeah.
Have you guys, okay, last tangent. Have you played Taboo?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, first off, my wife and I, it's a pure cheating because we don't have to say anything, right? It's like
Yeah.
one word answers and like,
Yeah.
but I remember when we first started playing that as a family, the it was like family feuds, like the biggest feuds all the time.
Yeah.
Because like you're like, you know, the thing, it's the
Did you not
and the
know?
other person's there with the button, like
Yeah.
waiting. Yeah. Okay, sorry. That was a little tangent.
No, no,
Okay,
no.
okay.
Taboo was so. We played it. We played it before, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think Yash and I were like a really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just with Kaiwa.
Yeah.
That was really funny.
The two of you and Kyla would probably be cheating.
What do you
You
mean?
guys didn't have to talk. You'd be like, on Tuesday, September this day,
Yeah.
remember that thing? We'd be like, yeah.
It would be like
Yeah.
certain inside jokes, so
Yeah.
it would be like, yeah, that is cheating. Yeah.
Hey, we just got that connection, you know?
Yeah. Okay, lightning round. I'm ready.
All right.
You can go first.
All right. Mike, what's your favorite tape job?
Ankle for sure.
I said the same thing.
And why?
What? It's the cleanest to lay down. Yeah.
When you have a good angle tape job, you're like,
Yeah.
Chef's
It's
kiss.
artwork.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a work of art.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Favorite sport to watch and cover?
Can they be separate sports?
Yeah.
Yeah, two different sports.
To watch, probably ultimate frisbee because it's so dynamic.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm a hater.
Yeah, I know you are. I know you are.
To cover, it's gonna sound bad, but soccer because I don't do anything. Yeah.
Just sit there.
Because like injuries happen like all over the place. So or like not in soccer, but like in all the other sports. I'm
Mhm.
thinking like I'm not in your guys' spot. Like I'm not 20 something, right? So I'm like, I'd rather just stand there and watch the game, right? So to cover, probably soccer.
Yeah.
I love watching soccer, but like I rarely run on, so it's
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
I get cold easily. I don't like
Yeah.
it.
Oh, that's
I don't like it. So football, it's
Yeah.
way more fun.
Side story, when I'm doing that, I just like run through scenarios. This is how crazy I am. I run through scenarios in my head while I'm standing on the sideline.
Have you watched Inside Out too?
No.
Okay, I'm not gonna spoil
Wait,
it.
do I have like an issue or something?
No, 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 no.
No, there's like a certain character and like a certain scene that reminds me of that.
Wait, you've seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it in
I watched it.
theaters?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go watch
All
it.
right, all right. After
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, after today, yeah.
Um, is it yours? Yeah.
Oh, it's my turn, right?
Yeah.
All right. What is the minimum hours of sleep you need to function? Let's say on the clinic, the field, or your research
Minimum amount of hours.
of sleep. Yeah. Because you talked about your dog story.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say like that I want or that I've had
That
before.
that you need to function normally.
Oh, like 0.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
0 sleep?
I could probably do like I've done 30-minute cat naps, like kind of throughout back when I was like your age, and it's just fine.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What about now?
Now, for me not to be like, what's functioning though? Like I can be functioning, be like grumpy Michael, and just like walk around.
You know that
Just
works.
get through the day.
Like 3 hours.
Okay.
I said the same thing.
Yeah.
And the comments blamed me for it.
Yeah.
Oh, like I don't know if you guys have an understanding of what my life is like, the
Yeah.
craziness. So yeah, I get about like on average right now I get like 6, which is great. But like there's been like months where I get like 2 or 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's one thing I know about AT students or like ATs in general. No sleep. Just
Yeah.
live off coffee, energy drinks, anything.
No sleep till broke.
I remember back in school we were in Windsor, I think, and we had to drive back from Windsor, so it's like a 4-hour drive.
Yeah.
Got home at 2 a.m. or like to the arena at 2 a.m. And then I helped unpack all of the gear with the equipment staff. So it's like 3 a.m. and then drive home from there. So it's like 3:30, let's say, because there's no one on the road. And then I would have 8 a.m. class. And I was like, it's just like that's the way it had to be, right? And
This is the life.
yeah, that was the life back then. It sounds like it's still your guys' life now. So
Right now, a little bit. A little bit right now, but
Mine's voluntarily.
yeah. Self-inflicted.
It is self-inflicted, but I like my 8 hours of sleep.
I know you do.
If I don't get eight hours of sleep, I just like I'm not going to school. I'm not going.
I
I'm
think
not.
I'd panic if I got 8, being like, oh my god, what did I miss? I'd be like waking up in like a sweat, probably.
So she picks me up some days, and she just sees me like every
Yeah.
morning out of the apartment,
Oh
and I'm just
man.
like, "How are you already like awake?
Yeah.
I've been up since 5 a.m." What?
Yeah,
I woke up
welcome.
half an hour ago.
Yeah. Well, you'd think with people working in healthcare, they would actually take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay.
Insane.
It happens. Anyways,
Your turn.
just to follow up with that question, what's your preferred method of caffeination?
This is like very me, but I have exactly 1 coffee in the morning.
What about throughout the day? No, just one in the morning?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can respect that.
Yeah.
Like,
In the
There are-
morning.
you need like 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I would say that might be a lie. Like that's 80% of my life.
Mhm.
And then if I'm like that one really didn't hit it, because like sometimes I can't even finish the one because I'm so busy in the morning trying to leave. Then I'll have an ice cap. Yeah. I used
What about your chocolate?
Yeah, with
Your
the chocolate milk.
yeah,
chocolate milk ice
medium ice cap with chocolate milk. Yeah. So those days I don't have coffee in the morning.
Oh,
Yeah.
now we know.
So that's why I'm probably like lumbering in, and then I have my cat. Yeah. So I used to do that like every Thursday or something with one of the years because it was like 8 a.m. in the
Mhm.
morning. I'd walk in, they'd always know me because I'd have like ice cap in my hand. Yeah.
Oh, he's grumpy today.
Yeah.
Don't
And if
bother him.
I'm that person that if I have another one, I don't go to sleep.
Mm.
Yeah. It just like hits me differently.
Yeah. You know it's bad when like your eye starts twitching? I've had that happen.
It's happened to all of us.
Yeah.
Good guys.
I'm not angry. I'm just like I can't control it.
Yeah.
So, Mike, if you had a whole year to train for any Olympic sport that you've never played before,
Okay.
which one? And it's summer or Olympic. We know we got summer Olympics coming up.
100% curling.
Oh my God, I
Wow.
said the same thing.
Really?
Yeah, I said
Okay,
the
I'll
same
pick
thing.
something different.
No, you can go with that, but if you
I
got
just-
something else in mind
I
too.
was just thinking about what I've seen recently.
It's like when you go to a restaurant and someone orders the same thing as you, so you want to change your
Yeah. It's exactly it. Okay, hold on. Javelin.
Oh,
Okay.
damn.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. I always felt like it was really cool to see them just throw a giant stick. They're just like, and you see them, they put like their whole
Yeah.
effort into
Yeah,
it. Right?
dude.
Or like high jump. That'd be kind of cool. But I'm too short for high jump.
High jump's hard.
Maybe you got bunnies. Like, we don't know that.
I used to, but now I'm old. After you're 30, everything just goes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. What's your pre-game song?
Oh, I don't know. Anything from like, it's gonna,
Genre.
yeah, genre.
Genre or like
This is gonna
I
catch
guess
you guys
decade.
by surprise, but definitely rap, 100%.
Okay,
Hmm?
what song?
Anything from the like decade of like the 2000s
Oh, I love that.
or like 2010, like those.
Yeah.
And then anything from Eminem.
Okay,
I-
I had a
I-
feeling you were an
yeah.
Eminem guy.
Yeah,
He's the real Shim Slady guy.
yeah,
Now he has to stand up.
yeah. That's probably it. But I don't really have like a like yeah, whatever song. Like usually it's just like a cycle of songs I go through. And
Yeah,
go through.
rotation.
Yeah.
So it's not like one, but it's
Yeah.
like a whole genre.
It's okay, me too.
Or like,
Yeah.
what is it, EDM house?
Really?
Sometimes, like I was into running a lot, where I like have recently stopped, but the beat of that, like just the
Oh,
rapid,
you just keep going
yeah, it
at it.
keeps me with
Yeah.
my pace when I'm running.
True.
So like that has helped, but like that's a new addition.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah, no joke. Yeah.
I'm gonna throw in a question not on the list here. If you weren't an AT instructor or researcher, what would you have become?
Dang. Probably. There's like different points in my life though.
It's okay.
So
Dabble a bit.
yeah,
Part-time firefighter, you know?
yeah.
Well, they
Actually,
work like a couple
Paramedic,
hours a month.
firefighter.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, I can see as a paramedic,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Um,
It's part of the job description.
coach probably.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
For what sport?
Any. You should just see me on the sidelines. I had a broken, like I broke my knee, and I was screaming at our ultimate frisbee team. I'm not even like I'm just hobbling in crutches, and I'm like desk, like yeah. So I feel like I would be a good coach. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. So I would definitely coach for anything. I think whatever was my fancy. But if I after my master's and I didn't go in my PhD, probably a physician's assistant. Yeah, which means more schooling, but
Yeah.
yeah. And then after this, if it wasn't teaching, probably data science, like analytic
Analytic
sports.
guy. Or,
I kind of still like that interests me right now.
Moneyball. I just like the
Yeah,
movie.
I
Yeah.
actually just watched the movie last week, so
Oh,
it's
nice.
a good movie.
I love that
Yeah.
movie, man.
Yeah. Okay, last question. What's the most embarrassing or funniest clinic or field story or funniest story you've come across as an instructor?
Well, you guys have funny stories all the time. So I probably couldn't think of one off the top of my head for you guys. For me, most embarrassing. I just don't have embarrassing moments.
Oh, sorry.
My bad, my bad. I didn't know you were like that.
I actually think I just blocked them out of memory.
Suppress them.
Yeah, really push them down deep. I can't think of one right now.
Have you said anything before that
Oh,
people been like, "Hey, yo, what?" Or
all the time. So like
I can
maybe
actually recall.
yeah. Okay, what did I say?
Um,
I think I know what you're talking about.
No.
when we were doing the triage scenario, and then I don't know if this is appropriate.
Oh
No,
no.
just say it, just say it, just say it.
Basically, how like each tape or whatever you mark it as, it like
Signifies
signifies
the
the
importance of
level of
it.
like the
Yeah,
injury,
yeah.
and then you're like, once you go black, you can't go back.
I did
You said that.
intentionally.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my god.
And then everyone in the room started laughing, and because we're all POC too, so we're like, oh my god.
There was a pause and then just laughter,
Oh,
man.
that's good. Yeah, I definitely express all of those. Um, yeah, I that's good. And I know I probably did that unintentional. I know I did
No,
that
you
unintentional.
definitely did that.
Yeah.
Because you didn't realize for like first 5 seconds.
We looked at each other, like all of us in the class were like, did he just realize what he just said?
That's good. I think I just don't care normally, so it just all of my moments are embarrassing. Um, and clinic or field. I haven't tripped on the ice or fallen down like running on the field, so that's a positive. But I did have everything fall out once.
Oh.
But like while I was at the person,
Oh,
and then I
okay,
went to
okay.
go grab like a BP cup, and literally it was at the bottom, and I just pulled everything out with me. But like when you're in those moments, you don't think that's
That's
intentional,
true, yeah.
right?
I drop stuff all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've run out without my fanny pack a bunch, and I just have to run back. Like,
Wait, stay here.
I
You
don't
can't
get
go
that far.
anywhere.
I get halfway and I'm like, oh, if this is an emergency, and I run back, grab it, and then the refs are always like, what the hell is this guy doing? So I don't.
Training for a half marathon.
A bunch of the times athletes like call me out, and they're like, yeah, I'm just tired, and I'm like, come on,
I
man.
just need a break.
Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, you have to fake something, like just like hold your knee, and then they hold their knee, and I'm like, this is embarrassing. Like I have to look like I'm working, and they want rest, and I'm like, okay, if I get you up, you're off the field,
Yeah.
right? So I was like, you got to do something. So to me, that's embarrassing because I'm not actually doing my job.
Just get up slowly.
Yeah. Or like I guess these are all like very like not embarrassing things, but like I'm not so short. I'm short. Okay, I'm short. So like you have an athlete and you're like, put your arm
Yeah.
over my
Oh
shoulder and they're like bending down.
Oh.
This isn't helping. Yeah,
Get someone else to come over.
yeah,
Yeah, I just grabbed two of my football athletes, like, you carry him. I'm not doing this.
yeah, yeah,
Do my work.
Yeah.
yeah. That's about it though.
True.
Any other embarrassing stories that you guys have with me?
Oh, definitely, but like I can't think of them off the top of my head.
I just thought of that one.
No, that's the biggest one.
Yeah. That was just really
So
funny.
did I do that in front of all the students?
No, just
Our tutorial. Yeah.
class. Yeah. There was like 10, no,
15 of us.
15 of
Okay.
us in that room.
That's not that bad.
It's like the small, like 110,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
can't fit all of us there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
But that was
funny.
so funny.
To hear
right?
that at 8:30 in the morning, I was like,
See?
what
Woke
is
you
going
guys up.
on?
Yeah.
It did wake us up.
Yeah.
Everyone just like, yo, what's he gonna say next? Like,
But yeah, any closing remarks before we end it?
No, I'm just excited for what you guys have done with this and that where it'll be going. It's kind of cool for you guys to outreach to new students, or like incoming students, or even like your own classmates, and bringing on other people and talking about your experience. I think it's super valuable, and I think like you guys should definitely keep doing this as much as you possibly can. Obviously, you're gonna have careers, maybe you hand this off, but yeah, it's definitely needed.
Yeah. I think it's good for like people who want to get into the program, just knowing who we know and like them not knowing enough information about like what the career is like. I mean, when you were in high school and you're like, "What's athletic therapy?" I don't know. Let me sign up anyways.
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
no idea what you're doing. And yeah, I just think like having information out there is pretty good. Make it available, accessible.
And free.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
free and
yeah,
free.
free is key.
Yeah.
That's what I always say.
Well, it's also like thanks to you for helping us start this up too. Like we wouldn't have started if you didn't mention like bringing this up. Like
Really?
yeah,
Dang.
because you're the one who I think we had a meeting one time and then you're like,
Yeah,
I want to start a podcast. I'm just like, I know how to podcast, so
yeah,
it just started snowballed from there.
yeah,
And
because I was always trying to reach out to students in different ways because you guys learn so differently and you know consume stuff differently as well. So that was just my I have these things called brainchilds, and I have so many of them. So I just like shoot ideas everywhere, and I'm like, okay, you podcast, go do this. Like this would be amazing.
yeah.
So you guys, you put all the work into it though. I just gave you the idea. If that, like, I think you already had the idea.
Well,
Maybe I
it
just,
stemmed from you.
yeah, I pushed you off the edge. You were there and just need some encouragement. Yeah.
You're at the water slide and like I got too scared. Go.
Yeah.
That's what Mike did.
Or when you throw a child in a body of water. Are you gonna swim or drown?
You drown.
I
That's,
know.
You
that's pretty
drown.
much what this whole course is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
You just summed it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're floating. We're floating so far.
Yeah. We still have one more year to go, so
Yeah, this is the easiest year.
so we
Ish.
hear.
So we hear, yeah.
Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see.
But thanks for being on this episode. It was nice chatting with you and seeing you after a while
Yeah.
in the middle of summer. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess we'll just end it here.
That's a wrap.
Thanks.